Welcome, everybody, to How to Let Go of a Narcissist, where we explore the healing journeys of people who have had an experience with narcissism. And we talk about tools to help survivors of narcissistic abuse reclaim their power. I'm your host, Marv Curtis, and today I'm honored to welcome Andy as our guest. He's found his way through some really interesting and difficult challenges in his life, a little bit of cognitive dissonance in his experience, and he's here to share some insights that might help you on your path. Hope you enjoy. So, Andy, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to this point in your healing journey? Maybe tell us where you are in your healing journey.
I'm about probably 3 months post breakup with my narcissist. She was a covert cerebral narcissist, which is, one of the lucky ones because I didn't really see it coming. Um, I'm 37. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I have an education background. Uh, you know, I this whole experience has been very enlightening to me. I mean, it's once you see malevolence on this level, it kind of changes you. It makes you see the world in a different perspective.
Describe malevolence.
Just okay, as neurotypical people, it's really hard to understand and comprehend how manipulative people can be. So, for example, when I was discarded, um, my narcissist said that I didn't have a manipulative bone in my body. And at the same time, she was calling me a narcissist and saying that I was selfish and I was all these different things. Well, come to find out that that's actually projection, and that's how she felt about herself at the time. I didn't know that though. I didn't know anything. Um, and it was an eye-opening experience to know that somebody can have so that you can spend your life with someone and love them and sacrifice for them and do everything you can to be a better person and then at the end of the day realize that that person doesn't have your best interest at heart. They don't even see you as a person. They see you as an object that they can use and exploit. I mean, like I said, as a neurotypical person, we don't understand that because, like, when I love you, it's like, I love you. I want to sacrifice for you. I want to be better for you. I want to grow with you. I want us to grow and have a life together. And to them, all they really see you as is like an ATM or like a convenient sex machine or, they just give you that supply, make me laugh, make me feel better about myself, validate me, and you kind of feel like you're on the back burner when it comes to that kind of stuff.
So, we've had conversation, and I think it's useful to just understand and perhaps have you tell us a little bit about the cognitive dissonance you feel. On the one hand, you've been experienced this awareness that this person does not have your best interests at heart. Tell us the other side.
Well, this cognitive dissonance is no joke, folks. I mean, once you get out in an abusive relationship, you really don't know which is up, which is down, right is left, left is right, sky is green, grass is blue. I mean, you're so confused about your reality and how you feel about everything in the world. It makes you reevaluate everything. If I had to compare it, it would probably be like I was in the Matrix in my shared fantasy. And then when I got out of the Matrix, it's like, what happened? You're like Neo waking up for the first time out of the ooze. You're like, what have I done? What have I wasted this many years of my life? What do I have to show for it? Because at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're going to sacrifice for them and they're never going to sacrifice for you. You're going to become stagnant and you're going to take everything that you should have been working on with yourself and you're going to put it on that other person. And you
So,
can't really grow as a person if you don't concentrate on yourself. It
and
becomes
you're,
so overwhelming that you just completely concentrate on that one person and to make them happy. And the problem is they're always moving the goalposts constantly. So they're never going to be happy. It's not a possibility for them. It's not even a reality.
and yet, if she showed up and started love bombing again, would you feel
Uh,
tempted?
Well, before our sessions, I would say, where there's my heart mind and my brain mind and my logical part, they're completely at odds together from each other. I mean, my heart still misses her. I still love her. I still feel like she's the love of my life. But logically, after I've learned everything, I've done all this research, I've read all these books, you know, I've had therapy, going to the gym. I mean, there's things that, like, there are red flags that you are gonna encounter with your narcissist or your cluster B personality type. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're just a bunch of terms. Um, I learned that from you, Marv. Thanks. Um, it's all about how you feel and how that you move forward, and you just have to realize that at the end of the day, you can only control you. And you can't control another human being. You can't control their, their impulses. You can't control how they feel. You can't control what they're thinking. So it's just that, you just have to take it a day at a time. I mean, really,
Yeah.
it's not an easy process. If I had to describe the pain and the helplessness that comes with after being out of an abusive relationship, especially somebody that you love. The worst part is when you don't see it coming and you realize that you've been manipulated the whole time. It's kind of like a covert CIA spy in a way. They don't really have a personality. They kind of just mold to whatever you want. And to you, they are your perfect partner. But in reality, they're kind of like shellless, or they're like, empty shells people, like empty shells of people. They don't really have their own opinions, thoughts, and beliefs. They're whatever anybody wants them to be. They're chameleons.
Yeah. So I want to go back in time and ask the question whether or not there was anything in your life that might have set you up to be taken in this way. So, have you had other experiences with narcissism before this? And do you think of yourself as a people pleaser?
To be honest, in my past, I thought I was a grandiose narcissist. For me personally, I kind of acted narcissistic in relationships and stuff before, whether that's personal or, professional. But I didn't really know a lot about my attachment style and how I, showed up for relationships till after, I had to learn. And I realized that my dad was a grandiose narcissist and he had a lot of issues as a child. And I felt like my attachment wound really came from my dad feeling like I was never good. I was never going to make him proud, even though he told me he was proud of me all the time and treated me awesome. That's not really the point. It was just more of an inner personal feeling. And I think that created my preoccupied anxious attachment personality type, and it
Hmm.
kind of went with me through my life. I've always been jumped from relationship to relationship, not like monkey branching, but like I couldn't be by myself, and I think that's,
Mm.
you know
Set you up a
probably
little.
was, yeah, set me up for failure a little bit because I've never really concentrated on myself the way I need to. I've always concentrated on other people and their happiness. So yeah, I would say I've been a people pleaser, and I think it can stem from childhood.
Yeah. Well, was there a specific moment or realization that made you decide you had to break free? I mean, how did this end?
I mean, honestly, I was completely discarded out of nowhere.
You
You
didn't
know,
make
I
the choice. He did.
I didn't make the choice. She made the choice for me. And part of me honestly thinks that this was like a last ditch love effort from her, that she knew that something was wrong. When she broke up with me, she said, "You deserve somebody who can love you the way you need to be loved. You deserve better." And I think that was a last ditch effort. Like the one thing that she did that was to set me free because she knew that I would never leave her. I
Hmm.
really do think that was like one last act of love.
We
Which
had
is like
talked,
the most depressing thing ever, but it's like notebook
yeah.
sad, but
So we had talked a little bit about feeling like maybe uh, a switch flipped in her. She went
yeah.
almost overnight from being one person to another. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, for 5 years, she was the sweetest person ever. She has a family history of schizophrenia and a lot of other mental illnesses within her family. And I kind of just was because of my anxious attachment, I never set boundaries. So, viewers listening, you need boundaries. Boundaries keep out crazy. Boundaries are like gates for crazy. And if you don't put boundaries up, you are setting yourself up for failure. Maybe not then, but in the future, if you do not hold those boundaries, a lot of people think it's like a hip word. It's really not. It's really, what do I need to feel loved and cherished in the relationship, and any relationship, not just romantic. You have to set boundaries because teaches people how you want to be treated. And if you don't hold those boundaries, that you put up with people, then they're just going to walk all over you. They're going to do what they want. You let people treat you how you set it up to be.
Yeah. So how do you keep going when it gets tough?
Well, as of recently, I had my seventh would have had my seventh anniversary a couple days ago, and it was. I'm not gonna lie, chat. I cry a lot, dude. I mean, you've gone through. If you're going through this and you feel like I don't want to cry, I don't want to feel like a wimp or whatever. This is probably one of the greatest travesties that you're ever gonna go through in your entire life. The amount of betrayal that you feel from your person that does this to you, there's just no words for it, really. I mean, you can try to talk to people about it, but unless they've been through a similar situation, they just don't understand,
Yeah.
and that's why I want everybody to, if you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. This is a serious, serious trauma. This is not normal. You feeling confused and with all this cognitive dissonance that we were talking about earlier, it's not a normal thing. In a relationship, when a relationship ends, especially a long-term relationship, whether that be, months, years, decades, there's going to be conversations, there's going to be closure, there's going to be compromise. If you're just discarded out of nowhere, that's not normal. That, like, you can tell yourself, oh, they were thinking about, yeah, but like you have to ask yourself, how much did that relationship really mean to them if they didn't want to try to fix things?
Yeah.
Or at least let you become aware that things needed to be fixed. And that was part of the problem for her, I think, is she was an avoidant also. And we never fought in 5 years, 5.5, 6 years, we never fought once. When we fought is when I went and picked up my stuff and we were screaming at each other. That was the first time I felt like she actually gave a shit, to be honest.
Hmm. So if you could go back into the past and give yourself one piece of advice during the hardest moments, what would that advice be?
Put yourself first. In a relationship, never lose yourself in a relationship. If you feel like you're losing yourself in a relationship and it's no, I take that back. The number one thing if I'm with somebody, you need to be with somebody who sacrifices for you. If you're willing to sacrifice everything for somebody else and they're not willing to do the same, that's not a reciprocal relationship. That's a one-sided relationship. And you need to become aware of that. Do not put it on the back burner and say they'll change. People don't change unless they want to change. Period. And that's kind of what broke my heart the most, is because when my relationship ended, I thought that I needed to do some emotional growth and just level up emotionally, basically. And I never have with any other relationship, but for this relationship, I did everything that I could. I mean, I leveled up, Marv, and it didn't matter, because they're going to have that confirmation bias. They want to be right. They do not want to see the change in you because they can't. If they see the change in you, that means that they have to take accountability and change themselves because they have to realize that they're the problem.
Really hard for a narcissist.
Very hard for a narcissist. Inner work, reflection. It's kind of like their kryptonite. They can't do it. Their false self they most likely developed as a child through because of traumatic experiences. It doesn't allow them to see reality for what it is. They see reality for what they want it to. It's like an upside down funhouse in their head, honestly. And it just doesn't make sense to neurotypical people.
Really crazy. Well, this has been brilliant. If there was one last message you'd like to leave for others who might be watching this or going through the same thing, what would that be?
If you feel like you can't move on, talk to somebody. I mean, I went through it multiple times. I called that 988 number multiple times. You know, Sometimes just talking to a third party that has no connection to you or to your partner is the best way because it really lets you, you know, get your feelings out, or talk to someone like yourself, Marv, where, you're experienced with it. You can help people through this kind of thing, help them break that trauma bond. Trauma bonds are real, by the way. They're real. And when people are like, "Oh, just get over them," that's basically them saying, "Hey, don't do heroin." And it's just like, okay, sure.
Doesn't understand the problem.
Yeah, does not understand the problem at hand. Correct.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for being open and honest and sharing your experience. I know this has been really hard for you. And I know that this story that you've shared will inspire many people.
I hope that,
Thank
they take it and they run with it. And you know what? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade and always see the good in someone, because if you don't, no one else will. It's a
and
pleasure talking to you,
include
Marv.
for yourself. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye bye.